The grand chamber floated in space, a massive ring of metal and glass orbiting the neutral world of Primaxis. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections. The air processors worked overtime to maintain the different atmospheric requirements, creating visible layers of mist throughout the enormous room. Captain Han Tae stood at the back of the human section, his dress uniform crisp and formal. He watched Ambassador Yoon Ji step forward to the speaking platform. Her face remained calm, but Han Tae had served with her long enough to notice the slight tension in her shoulders. This meeting would not go well. High Magistrate Kalvor, a tall creature with 4 arms and skin like polished stone, struck the resonance bell. The sound echoed through the chamber, calling for silence. The Galactic Council recognizes Ambassador Yoon-ji of Earth, Kalvor announced. His voice translated instantly into dozens of languages. Yoon-ji bowed respectfully. Honored Magistrate, honored Council members, I come today to discuss the recent accusations regarding human expansion into the Outer Rim territories. A loud hiss came from the Vrelian section. Overlord Thexus rose from his seat, his massive frame covered in ceremonial armor. The Vrelian leader had 3 eyes, each one fixed on Yoon-ji with obvious contempt. Accusations? Thexus's voice boomed across the chamber. The matter is settled, human. You have violated neutral space. You have built colonies on 3 worlds that belong to the Galactic Commons. This is not a discussion. This is a sentencing. Murmurs of agreement rippled through several sections. Han Tae's jaw tightened. The fix was in. They had decided this before Yoon-ji even arrived. With respect, Overlord, Yoon-ji replied, her voice steady. Earth surveyed those systems 50 years ago. We found them uninhabited. We followed all proper protocols. We registered our claims with the Survey Authority. We have built homes there, established farms, research stations. 50,000 humans live on those worlds now. 50 years is nothing, another voice called out. It belonged to a council representative from the Kelthian Assembly. These worlds have been marked as neutral territory for 3,000 years. Your ignorance of galactic law does not give you ownership. Yoon-ji touched a control on her wrist. A holographic display appeared above the speaking platform, showing official documents, survey records, and communications with the Survey Authority. These records show that we followed every requirement. The Survey Authority approved our claims. We did everything correctly. The Survey Authority made an error, Kalvor stated flatly. An error that must be corrected. Han Tae felt his blood run cold. They were rewriting the rules retroactively. This was about power, not law. Thexus descended from his section, walking across the chamber floor. His footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet room. He stopped a few meters from Yoon-ji, towering over her. Let me speak plainly, human, Thexus said, his 3 eyes narrowing. You are a young species, primitive. You crawled out of your death world barely 200 years ago. You should be grateful we even allow you in this council. You should be grateful we permit you to exist in our galaxy. Our galaxy? Yoon-ji's voice carried an edge now. I was under the impression that space belonged to no one. Thexus laughed, a harsh sound. Space belongs to those strong enough to claim it. You Deathworlders think your little ships and your brief history give you equal standing with civilizations that have existed for millennia. You are wrong. The term Deathworlder was not new to Han Tae. It referred to species that evolved on dangerous planets, worlds with harsh climates, deadly predators, and extreme conditions. Earth qualified. But the way Thexus said it made it sound like an insult, like humans were somehow lesser for surviving such a world. Yoon-ji stood her ground. We seek only peace and cooperation, but we will not abandon our colonies. We will not leave 50,000 people homeless because of political maneuvering. Then you choose conflict, Thexus replied coldly. No, Yun-ji said firmly. We choose to defend what is rightfully ours. There is a difference. Calvor struck the resonance bell again. The council will now vote. All in favor of demanding immediate human withdrawal from the disputed systems and payment of reparations in the amount of 2 million galactic credits? Signify now. Han Tai watched as section after section lit up with affirmative votes. Only 3 voted against, small species that had no love for the Vrelian Empire. The final count was 47-3. The measure passes, Calvor declared. Earth has 30 days to comply. Yun-ji looked up at the council, her expression hardening. I want it recorded that Earth formally protests this decision. We came here in good faith. We have broken no legitimate laws. What you are doing here today is not justice. It is robbery backed by military threat. Your protest is noted, Calvor said dismissively. This council is adjourned. As the various representatives began to file out, Han Tai moved quickly to Yun-ji's side. His communicator was vibrating urgently against his wrist. He checked it and felt his stomach drop. Ambassador, he said quietly, we need to leave. Now. Yun-ji caught the urgency in his voice. They walked quickly toward the exit, followed by the small human security detail. Once they reached the private corridor leading to their ship, Han Tai showed her the message. Fleet intelligence picked this up an hour ago, he explained. The Vrelian War Fleet, 200 ships. They left their staging area 3 days ago. They're already en route to our colonies. Yun-ji's face went pale. 3 days ago? That means this whole council meeting was theater, Han Tai finished. They decided to attack before we even arrived. The vote was just for show. They reached the docking bay where the human diplomatic vessel Silent Dawn waited. As they boarded, Yun-ji stopped and looked back toward the council chambers. We need to send a message to Earth Command, she said. Admiral Sung-woo needs to know what's coming. Already sent, Han Tai replied. But it might be too late. The Vrelians will reach the Taeyang system in less than 48 hours. Yun-ji closed her eyes for a moment, composing herself. When she opened them, her expression was resolute. Then we need to get back to Earth as fast as possible. President Choi Min needs to know that we tried. We did everything right. We offered peace. And they chose war, Han Tai said grimly. As the Silent Dawn detached from the station and turned toward the jump point that would take them back to Seoul, Yun-ji recorded one final message. It would be broadcast across all diplomatic channels, ensuring that every species in the galaxy would hear it. To the Galactic Council, and all who hear this message, she began, her voice clear and strong. Earth came to the stars seeking friendship and cooperation. We have established our colonies peacefully. We have harmed no one. Today, we were told to abandon our homes or face destruction. We were mocked for being a young species from a dangerous world. We were threatened because we dared to stand up for what is right. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. I say this now, so there can be no misunderstanding. We have colonized these worlds peacefully. We will defend them if necessary. Do not mistake our patience for weakness. Do not mistake our desire for peace as inability to fight. You have been warned. What comes next is your doing, not ours. The message was sent. Within hours, it would reach every corner of galactic civilization. Han Tai set course for Earth, pushing the engines to maximum speed. Behind them, the council station grew smaller in the viewport. Ahead of them lay war. Neither of them knew it yet, but Yun-ji's warning would be remembered for centuries to come. Future historians would mark it as the moment when the galaxy learned a critical lesson about humanity. Some warnings should never be ignored. The asteroid belt of the Taeyang system stretched for millions of kilometers, a river of rock and ice orbiting the system's yellow star. Hidden among the larger asteroids, Admiral Sung Woo watched his tactical display with growing concern. 200 red dots had just appeared at the system's edge, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. The Vrelian fleet had arrived. "All ships, battle stations," Sung Woo ordered calmly. "Launch all fighters, activate the defense grid." His flagship, the destroyer Thunder, was the largest vessel in his small defense force. 12 ships total against 200. The math was simple and brutal. But Sung Woo had not spent 30 years in Earth's Navy without learning how to fight when outnumbered. "Sir, incoming transmission," his communications officer reported. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Let's hear it," Sung Woo said. A holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge. Fleet Commander Vextal, a Vrelian officer with the typical 3 eyes and armored body, stared out at them. His expression was one of supreme confidence. "Human vessels, this is Fleet Commander Vextal of the Vrelian Imperial Navy. These systems are now under Vrelian protection. You have 12 hours to evacuate all personnel from the colonies and depart. Any ship remaining after that time will be destroyed. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. Sung Woo's second officer, Commander Oh Bin, turned to him. 12 hours. They're not even giving us time to evacuate everyone." "They don't expect us to fight," Sung Woo replied. "They think we'll run. Send a message to Colonel Na Hae on the surface. Tell her to begin emergency protocols." Down on Tai Yang Prime, Colonel Na Hae received the message in her command center. The colony was home to 50,000 people, farmers, scientists, families. She had 6,000 soldiers and limited defensive equipment. Against orbital bombardment, they would be helpless. But Na Hae had not survived the border conflicts of the 2260s by giving up easily. "All military personnel to defensive positions," she ordered. "Get the civilians into the underground shelters. Science teams, I need you to finish uploading all survey data to the backup satellites. If we're going down, I want proof of our claims surviving us." Dr. Kang Sol, the colony's chief scientist, worked frantically at her console. 50 years of research, geological surveys, biodiversity studies, atmospheric data, everything that proved Earth had found this world first and studied it thoroughly. "Upload is at 60%, Kang Sol reported. "I need another hour." "You have 30 minutes, Nahai said. "After that, they might start jamming our signals." Back in orbit, Admiral Sung Woo was making his own calculations. The Vrelian fleet was advancing slowly, confidently. They expected either surrender or a brief one-sided battle. They were about to get something different. "All ships, fall back to the asteroid belt," Sung Woo ordered. "Execute pattern Delta 7. His small fleet withdrew deeper into the asteroid field. The Vrelians probably thought they were running. Let them think that. The 12 hours passed in tense preparation. On the planet's surface, civilians crowded into underground facilities designed to protect against the harsh storms that sometimes struck Tai Yang Prime. They were not designed to withstand military weapons, but they were better than nothing. Kang Sul completed her upload with minutes to spare. Every piece of data was now stored on 3 different satellites in high orbit, broadcasting on encrypted frequencies back toward Earth. When the deadline expired, Vextal's voice echoed across the system again. "The time for mercy has passed. All human vessels, surrender now or be destroyed." Sung Woo's response was simple. "This is Admiral Sung Woo of the Earth Defense Force. These worlds are legally colonized territory of Earth. You have no authority here. Leave now, while you still can." Vextal's laugh came through clearly. "You dare threaten me with 12 ships? Your arrogance will be your death." "Maybe," Sung Woo replied, "but we'll take some of you with us." Thunder. Actual out. The Vrelian fleet opened fire before the transmission even ended. Energy weapons lanced across space, targeting Sung Woo's ships. But the human vessels were already moving, weaving through the asteroids with practiced precision. The first Vrelian volley destroyed 2 human fighters, but missed the larger ships entirely. Sung Woo smiled grimly. The Vrelians were used to fighting in open space, ship-to-ship battles decided by firepower and numbers. They were not used to asteroid field combat. All ships, return fire. Focus on their lead cruisers. Target their sensor arrays. The human ships struck back with missiles and railgun fire. The Vrelians, confident in their numbers, had advanced into the asteroid belt in a tight formation. It was a fatal mistake. Sung Woo's missiles did not target the Vrelian ships directly. Instead, they detonated against the largest asteroids, fracturing them into thousands of smaller pieces. Those pieces, traveling at high velocity, slammed into the Vrelian formation like a shotgun blast. 3 Vrelian ships exploded immediately, their shields overwhelmed by the kinetic impact. 2 more were heavily damaged, their hulls breached in multiple places. "Sir, they're breaking formation," Bin reported with surprise in his voice. The Vrelians had not expected resistance. They certainly had not expected to lose ships. Their neat formation dissolved into chaos as captains tried to maneuver away from the asteroid storm the humans had created. For 2 hours, the battle raged through the asteroid belt. Sung Woo's ships used every trick they knew, hiding behind large asteroids, using the rocks as cover, setting traps with proximity mines. The Vrelian numerical advantage meant less when they could not bring all their ships to bear at once. But numbers eventually told. Sung Woo lost 4 ships in the first hour, then 3 more. The Thunder took heavy damage when a Vrelian battlecruiser caught them in the open. "Sir, shields are down to 20%, Bin reported. "We can't take another hit like that." Sung Woo checked his tactical display. 15 Vrelian ships destroyed or disabled. It was better than he had hoped, but nowhere near enough. "All remaining ships. Final attack pattern. Ramming speed." Bin's eyes widened. "Sir, we buy them time, Commander. Every minute we fight is another minute for Earth to respond. Make it count." The remaining human ships abandoned all pretense of defense. They charged straight at the Vrelian fleet, weapons blazing. 2 more Vrelian cruisers exploded under the desperate assault. The Thunder took 3 direct hits. The bridge filled with smoke and sparks. Sung Woo felt something warm on his face and realized he was bleeding. "Communications, are we still transmitting?" he asked. "Yes, sir. The data package is still broadcasting." "Good." Sung Woo typed a final message into his command console. "Data package transmitted to Earth Command. They're coming. Hold the line." The message was sent just as the Thunder's main reactor went critical. The explosion lit up the asteroid belt like a small sun. Fleet Commander Vextal watched from his flagship as the last human vessel was destroyed. 15 of his ships were gone, 15 ships lost to 12 primitive vessels. The thought was intolerable. "Begin orbital bombardment of the planet," he ordered. "Target all military installations. Show these Deathworlders the price of resistance." The Vrelian fleet moved into orbit around Taiyang Prime. Energy beams lanced down from space, striking military bases and defensive positions. Colonel Na-hai watched on her screens as months of preparation was destroyed in minutes. "Get everyone deeper underground," she ordered. "We hold until help arrives." "Sir, what if help doesn't come?" one of her officers asked. Na-hai looked at the young man and saw fear in his eyes. She forced herself to smile. "Then we make them regret ever coming here. Earth doesn't abandon its people. They'll come. We just have to survive long enough." High above, the bombardment continued. The Vrelians had won the first battle. But as the debris from the destroyed human ships slowly drifted through the asteroid belt, transmitting continuously on all frequencies, a simple message repeated over and over. Admiral Sung Woo's final words, a promise and a warning. They're coming. In the cold void of space, the data packages from the battle continued broadcasting toward Earth. Every second of the fight was recorded, every Vrelian war crime documented, every heroic stand preserved. And 6 light years away, in the Sol system, Earth Command was receiving those transmissions. The sleeping giant was about to wake up. The emergency session of the United Earth Government convened in Geneva at 0400 hours. President Choi Min had called together every military leader, every cabinet member, every person who mattered in the government. The mood in the room was dark and angry. Fleet Admiral Lee Day stood at the front of the Situation Room, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays showing the battle at Taiyang. He had watched Admiral Sung Woo's final stand 3 times already. Each time made his blood boil hotter. "Show them," President Choi Min said quietly. Lee Day nodded to his aide. The room darkened, and the holographic display expanded to fill the entire space. They watched as the Vrelian fleet appeared. They watched as Sung Woo's 12 ships fought against impossible odds. They watched good people die defending their homes. When the recording reached the orbital bombardment of the colony, several people in the room looked away. The Vrelians were not targeting military sites exclusively. Civilian structures burned under the assault. The recording ended. The lights came back up. The room was silent. Commander Seo Rei, head of military intelligence, spoke first. Her voice was cold with fury. "This was planned months ago. We have intercepted communications showing that the Vrelian Empire began assembling their fleet 4 months before the council meeting. They were always going to attack." The council vote was just a legal fiction to give them cover. "How many of our people are still alive on Taiyang Prime?" someone asked. "Unknown," Seo Rei replied. "We lost contact with Colonel Na Hai 6 hours ago. We have to assume the worst." General Park Jin, head of strategic operations, stepped forward. He was an older man, gray-haired and stocky, with the bearing of someone who had seen real combat. "Mr. President, we have prepared for this scenario. Not this specific situation, but the possibility of a major conflict. We have contingency plans." "Show me," Choi Min said. Park Jin activated another display. This one showed the Sol system, but not the way most people saw it. Hidden stations appeared throughout the asteroid belt. Massive shipyards orbited Saturn and Jupiter. Weapon platforms surrounded Earth, Mars, and the major colonies. "Since joining the Galactic Council 15 years ago, we have been preparing," Park Jin explained. "We hoped for peace, but we built for war. Every colony, every habitat, every settled system has been contributing resources and personnel. We told the galaxy we were building trading vessels and exploration ships." Another image appeared. Thousands of ships, organized into neat formations. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, carriers. Far more than Earth was supposed to have. "We lied," Park Jin finished simply. President Choi Min studied the display carefully. "How many ships?" 2,400 combat-ready vessels," Lee Day answered. "Another 600 support ships, troop transports, medical frigates, supply haulers. We can field an army of 2 million soldiers if needed." The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Seo Rei held up her hand for silence. "This was classified at the highest levels. Only a few dozen people knew the full scope. We couldn't risk the galaxy learning the truth. If they knew how strong we were becoming, they might have moved against us sooner. Or they might have left us alone," someone objected. "Maybe," Seo Rei replied. "But we couldn't take that chance. Earth has always been seen as weak, young, inexperienced. Better to let them keep believing it." President Choi Min turned to Lee Day. "Admiral, what is your assessment? Can we win a war against the Vrelian Empire?" Lee Day did not hesitate. "Yes, Mr. President, not easily and not without cost, but yes. The Vrelians have numbers, but they have been at peace for a long time. They have not fought a real war in 3 centuries. Their ships are impressive, but their tactics are outdated. They rely on overwhelming force and intimidation. And we have something they don't," Park Jin added. We come from Earth. We evolved fighting every day for survival. Every human has an advantage they cannot match. We are tougher, faster, more adaptable. We heal quickly. We endure pain they cannot imagine. We are, as they like to remind us, Deathworlders. Choi Min was quiet for a long moment. Everyone in the room knew what was at stake. This decision would echo through history. They had tried peace, they had followed the rules, and they had been attacked anyway. I need to address the planet, Choi Min finally said. The people need to know what is happening and what we are going to do about it. 2 hours later, every screen on Earth, Mars, Luna, and the colonies showed the same image. President Choi Min sat at a simple desk, the Earth flag behind him. He looked tired but determined. My fellow citizens of Earth and all human colonies, he began, I come to you with grave news. 3 days ago, the Vrelian Empire launched an unprovoked attack on our colony in the Taiyang system. 50,000 civilians were there. They were farmers, scientists, teachers, families. They had broken no laws. They had harmed no one. They were simply living their lives in peace. The president paused, letting the words sink in. The Vrelian Empire believed we would not fight back. They believed that because we are young, because we come from what they call a death world, we would be easy to conquer. They were wrong. Images began playing behind him. Construction yards, training facilities, fleets of ships. For 15 years, we have been preparing for this possibility. Not because we wanted war, but because we understood that peace must be backed by strength. We built ships. We trained soldiers. We hoped we would never need them. That hope died 3 days ago when Admiral Sung Woo and his crews gave their lives defending our people. It died when the Vrelians began bombing civilian targets. It died when they chose conquest over cooperation. Choi Min's voice grew stronger. I am hereby authorizing Fleet Admiral Lee Day to mobilize the full Earth Defense Force. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not allow aggression to go unanswered. We will show the galaxy that humanity stands together, that we defend our own, and that we will not bow to those who mistake our desire for peace as weakness. The president stood, his hands resting on the desk. To the families of those in the Taiyang system, we have not forgotten you. Help is coming. To our allies in the galaxy, we ask for your understanding and support. To the Vrelian Empire, we offer one chance. Withdraw immediately and face justice through proper channels, or face the consequences of your actions. And to all humanity, I say this. We have always been survivors. Earth made us strong. The stars made us bold. Today we show the galaxy who we really are. We are the children of a death world, and we do not surrender. We do not break. We fight. The broadcast ended. Within hours, every military base on Earth came alive with activity. Soldiers reported to their units. Shipyards went to full production. Civilian volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Fleet Admiral Lee Day stood on the bridge of his flagship, the dreadnought Indomitable. Around him, the great fleet was assembling. 2,000 ships moving into formation, the largest military force humanity had ever created. His orders went out across every communication channel. Simple words, but they carried the weight of humanity's anger and determination. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Lee Day. Our mission is clear. We liberate Taiyang system. We rescue our people. We show the Vrelians the cost of attacking Earth. He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew, young and old, veterans and new recruits, all of them ready. The Vrelians call us Deathworlders like it's an insult. They're right about one thing. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to fight, to survive, to overcome. They wanted a war with Deathworlders. Now they're going to get one. The fleet began to move. Thousands of engines ignited simultaneously, creating a light show visible from Earth's surface. Families watched from windows and rooftops as the armada departed, heading for the jump points that would take them across the stars. On Earth, a mother held her daughter close. "Where are they going?" the girl asked. "To bring our people home," the mother replied. In Geneva, President Choi Min watched the fleet depart on his private screen. Commander C.O. Ray stood beside him. "We've crossed the line," she said quietly. "There's no going back now." "There was no line left to cross," Choi Min replied. "They destroyed it when they killed our people. Now we show them why you should never corner a Deathworlder." The great fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing from normal space. They were 3 weeks from the Taeyang system, 3 weeks until the Vrelians learned their mistake. In the ruins of the Taeyang Prime Colony, Colonel Na Hye huddled with her remaining soldiers in a deep bunker. They had lost contact with orbit. They had no idea if anyone was coming, but they held on, keeping hope alive in the darkness. Above them, in orbit, Fleet Commander Vextal celebrated his victory, unaware that his world was about to change forever. The sleeping giant had awakened, and it was coming for them all. The Earth fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Taeyang system in perfect formation. 2,400 ships, arranged in battle groups that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. It was the largest military force the galaxy had seen in centuries. Fleet Commander Vextal was in his quarters when the alarms began screaming. He rushed to the bridge of his flagship, still fastening his armor. The tactical display showed dots, so many dots, more ships than he had ever seen in one place. "How many?" he demanded. "We count over 2,000 vessels, Commander," his sensor officer replied, voice shaking. "It's impossible. Humans don't have that many ships. Our intelligence said—" "I don't care what intelligence said," Vextal roared. "Battle stations. Recall all patrols. Get me a firing solution on their command ship." But the human fleet was not charging in recklessly. They moved with precision, splitting into smaller groups that began to surround the Vrelian position. It was like watching a pack of hunters encircling prey. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Fleet Admiral Li Day watched the Vrelian fleet scramble to form a defensive position. They were panicking. Good. "Captain Kim Hyun, you have operational command of Battle Group Striker. Begin the assault," Li Day ordered. Captain Kim Hyun commanded the dreadnought Indomitable's sister ship, the Unstoppable. She was young for a captain, only 35 years old, but she had earned her position through skill and determination. "All ships in Battle Group Striker, advance on bearing 270, Kim Hyun commanded. "Fighters, launch. Show them how humans fight." 300 ships accelerated toward the Vrelian fleet. The Vrelians fired first. Energy weapons reaching across space. Several human ships took hits, their shields flaring bright, but the human vessels kept coming, weaving and dodging with a grace that surprised their enemies. "Return fire," Kim Hyun ordered. "Concentrate on their right flank. Break their formation." Human weapons were different from what the Vrelians expected. Railguns fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds, missiles with advanced tracking systems, energy weapons that cut through shields like they were not even there. The technological gap the Vrelians had assumed was much smaller than they thought. The first Vrelian ship exploded in a ball of fire, then another, then 5 more in quick succession. The human fleet was not just attacking, they were hunting, targeting weak points with surgical precision. Wing Commander Bei Su led his fighter squadron into the chaos. His cockpit displays showed 40 enemy fighters moving to intercept. The Vrelian pilots were good, well-trained, but they were not prepared for what happened next. Bei Su's fighters performed maneuvers that should have killed the pilots, turns at forces that would crush most species. The human pilots grunted through the G-forces, their bodies enduring pressures that would make Vrelian pilots black out. "All wings, attack pattern Omega," Bei Su ordered. "Let's show them why Deathworlders make the best pilots." The human fighters tore through the Vrelian formation like wolves among sheep. Their reaction times were faster. Their tolerance for punishment was higher. When a Vrelian pilot tried to pull a hard turn, they had to slow down to survive it. Human pilots just gritted their teeth and pushed through. On the Vrelian flagship, Vextal watched in growing horror as his fleet was torn apart. 20 ships gone in the first hour. 30 ships. 40. The humans were not just winning, they were dominating. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Our ships are superior, our weapons more advanced." His tactical officer pulled up analysis data. "Commander, their pilots are pulling maneuvers at 8 Gs. That should kill them. Their infantry units are operating in conditions that would incapacitate our soldiers. They're stronger, faster, more resilient than our intelligence indicated." "They're Deathworlders," Vextal whispered, finally understanding. The term had always been used as an insult. Now he realized it was a warning that should have been heeded. The battle raged for hours. Captain Kim Hyun's battle group pushed relentlessly forward, while other human units attacked from different angles. The Vrelian numerical advantage meant nothing when they could not coordinate their defense. Then came the boarding actions. Lieutenant Yu Young commanded a marine assault unit. His transport latched onto a Vrelian cruiser that had lost its shields. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic clang. "Breach!" Yu Young ordered. The airlock exploded inward. Yu Young and his marines stormed through, weapons ready. The Vrelian crew tried to fight back, but they were not prepared for close combat with humans. Vrelians were taller than humans on average, but they were lighter, less muscular. Their world had lower gravity than Earth. When a Vrelian marine punched Yu Young in the chest, it hurt, but he stayed on his feet. When Yu Young punched back, the Vrelian went down and did not get up. The firefight in the corridor was brutal and short. Human marines moved through the ship with terrifying efficiency. When wounded, they kept fighting. When pushed, they pushed back harder. The psychological impact on the Vrelian crew was devastating. "Engineering secured," Yu Young reported. "We have control of the reactor. Ship is ours." Across the battlefield, similar boarding actions were taking place. The humans were not just destroying Vrelian ships, they were capturing them. Every captured vessel provided intelligence, technology, and proof of Vrelian war crimes. By the end of the first day, the battle was effectively over. The Vrelian fleet had lost 80 ships destroyed and 30 more captured. Fleet Commander Vextal finally ordered a retreat. "All ships, withdraw to the jump point," he ordered, his voice hollow with defeat. But the human fleet had anticipated this. Battle groups were already positioned at every jump point. When the Vrelian ships tried to escape, they found human vessels waiting for them. Captain Kim Hyun watched the fleeing Vrelians on her tactical display. "Striker group, intercept formation. Don't let them escape. If they want to leave, they surrender first." The remaining Vrelian ships found themselves trapped. Behind them, the main human fleet. Ahead of them, blocking forces at every exit. Some Vrelian captains chose to fight and were destroyed. Others, seeing no hope, powered down their weapons and surrendered. Fleet Admiral Lee Day broadcast a message to all surviving Vrelian ships. "This is Fleet Admiral Lee Day of the Earth Defense Force. You have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and you will be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to decide." The seconds ticked by. Then, one by one, Vrelian ships began shutting down their weapon systems. The symbols on the tactical display changed from red to yellow. Surrender. Within 36 hours of arriving, the human fleet had liberated the Taeyang system. The Vrelian occupation force was destroyed or captured, and deep underground in a battered bunker, Colonel Na Hai received a transmission she had almost stopped believing would come. "Colonel, this is Fleet Admiral Lee Day. We're here. You can come out now. It's over." Nahai closed her eyes, feeling tears stream down her face. Around her, soldiers who had been holding on through sheer willpower began to collapse, sobbing with relief. They had survived. Help had come just like they had been promised. The liberation of Taeyang Prime took another day. Human Marines swept through the ruins, rescuing survivors and capturing Vrelian occupation forces. Medical ships descended from orbit, bringing doctors and supplies. Dr. Kong Sol emerged from the ruins of her research center, dirty and exhausted, but alive. She had lost colleagues, friends, but her data had survived. The proof of Earth's claim to these worlds was intact. In the hours after the battle, the human fleet intercepted Vrelian communications. The messages were frantic, terrified. Stories of ships that kept fighting even after taking catastrophic damage. Pilots who should have been dead continuing to fly. Marines who fought hand-to-hand with a ferocity that seemed impossible. One message, sent by a surviving Vrelian officer to his superiors, would be shared across the galaxy within days. They are not like us. When you wound them, they keep fighting. When their ships are damaged, they do not retreat. They adapt, improvise, overcome. We thought Deathworlder meant primitive. It means dangerous. It means survivors. We attacked the wrong species. We made a terrible mistake. Fleet Admiral Li Day read the message and felt no satisfaction, only grim determination. Taeyang's system was liberated, but this was just the beginning. The Vrelian Empire had more fleets, more ships, more systems. "Captain Kim Hyun, prepare the fleet for the next jump," he ordered. "We're not stopping here. We're going to show the entire Vrelian Empire what happens when you attack Earth." Kim Hyun smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Where to, Admiral?" Li Day pulled up a star chart. Several Vrelian systems glowed in red. Systems where they had military bases. Systems where they had built their empire on the backs of conquered species. "All of them," Li Day replied. "We're going to dismantle their war machine piece by piece, and we're going to make sure the galaxy watches every moment of it." The Great Fleet began to move again, leaving behind a garrison to protect the Taeyang system. They jumped toward their next target, and the word began to spread through the galaxy. The humans were coming, the Deathworlders were at war, and they were winning. 90 days after the liberation of Taeyang's system, the Earth fleet arrived at Vrela Prime. The Vrelian homeworld hung in space like a jewel, a planet of blue oceans and green continents. 3 billion Vrelians lived there. They had never known war on their own soil. That was about to change. Fleet Admiral Li Day stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the planet below. Behind his fleet were 90 days of systematic victories. 18 Vrelian military bases destroyed or captured, 47 warships added to the human fleet as prizes of war, 32 occupied worlds liberated. The Vrelian Empire had been dismantled piece by piece, and through it all, the galaxy had watched. Every battle was recorded, every victory shared across communication networks. Species that had feared the Vrelians for centuries watched as humanity tore apart the empire that had oppressed them. Some cheered, some feared, all understood that everything had changed. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the surface," his communications officer reported. "It's Overlord Thexus himself." "Put him through," Li Day ordered. The holographic display flickered to life. Overlord Thexus appeared, but he was not the arrogant figure who had mocked Ambassador Yoon Ji 90 days ago. His armor was tarnished, his 3 eyes were tired. He looked like what he was, a defeated leader watching his empire crumble. "Fleet Admiral Li Day," Thexus began, his voice strained. "I am authorized to negotiate the terms of our surrender." Li Day let the words hang in the air for a moment. Surrender. The mighty Vrelian Empire, which had existed for 3,000 years, was surrendering to humanity. To the young species they had called primitive. "Here are our terms," Li Day said, his voice hard. "First, the Vrelian Empire will formally recognize all human colonies, including the 3 systems you attacked. Second, You will pay reparations to the families of every person killed in your unprovoked assault. Third, you will surrender all officers responsible for targeting civilian populations to face trial for war crimes. Fourth, you will reduce your military fleet by 80%. The ships will be dismantled under human supervision. Thexus's eyes widened. 80%? That will leave us defenseless. You should have thought about that before you attacked us, Li Day replied coldly. You wanted to show the galaxy your strength by crushing a weaker species. Instead, you showed them your cruelty and your weakness. These terms are non-negotiable. Accept them, or we will continue this war until your empire is nothing but a memory. And if we accept, Thexus asked quietly, then we will leave. We will monitor your compliance for 10 years. After that, if you have kept your word, Earth will consider normalized relations. We do not seek to conquer you. We just want to make sure you never threaten anyone again. Thexus was silent for a long time. I need to consult with our council. You have 24 hours, Li Day said. After that, we will assume you have chosen to continue fighting. The transmission ended. On Earth in Geneva, President Choi Min prepared for his own confrontation. The Galactic Council had requested an emergency session. They wanted to discuss the human military action and the destabilization of galactic peace. The hypocrisy was staggering, but Choi Min was ready for it. Ambassador Yoon-ji had returned to the council chambers. This time, the mood was very different. The same representatives who had voted against Earth now watched her with fear and respect in equal measure. The human section had been moved from the back of the chamber to a position of prominence. High Magistrate Calvor called the session to order. His forearms trembled slightly as he struck the resonance bell. The council recognizes President Choi Min of Earth appearing by holographic relay, Calvor announced. The hologram of President Choi Min appeared at the speaking platform. He looked exactly as he had 90 days ago, tired but determined. Behind him, visible to all, was the Earth flag. Honored Magistrate, Choi Min began. Honored council members. I stand before you today to address concerns about Earth's military actions against the Vrelian Empire. Your actions have destabilized the entire sector, someone shouted from the Kelthian assembly section. Choi Min turned to face them. Our actions were a response to an unprovoked attack. The Vrelian Empire bombed civilian populations. They targeted farmers, scientists, children. And where was this council? You voted to support them. You gave them legitimacy to commit atrocities. The chamber erupted in arguments. Calvor struck the bell repeatedly for silence. The council's vote was based on the information we had, Calvor protested weakly. The information you had was a lie, and you knew it, Choi Min replied. Commander Seo Ray, if you please. Another hologram appeared showing intercepted communications. Messages between the Vrelian military and council members. Bribes, threats, promises of shared territory. The evidence was damning. Several council members were complicit in the Vrelian attack, Choi Min continued. They voted for political gain, not justice. My government has compiled a full list. We will be sharing it with all member species. The chamber descended into chaos. Representatives shouted at each other, accused each other, demanded explanations. Calvor looked like he wanted to disappear. Choi Min waited for the noise to die down before continuing. Earth did not want this war. We came to the stars seeking friendship and cooperation. We built our colonies peacefully. We followed your rules, your laws, your procedures, and when we stood up for what was right, you mocked us. You called us Deathworlders like it was an insult. He paused, his voice growing stronger. You were right. We are Deathworlders. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We fought predators that could tear us apart. We survived diseases that could wipe out entire populations. We endured storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages. Earth made us strong. Earth made us survivors. Earth made us fighters. We came to the stars hoping to leave that violence behind. We wanted to prove that we had grown beyond our violent past. We wanted peace. You forced us to remember what we are. You forced us to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do when you push them too far. The chamber was completely silent now. Every eye was fixed on Choi Min's hologram. The Vrelian Empire attacked us because they thought we were weak. They thought our youth made us easy prey. They were wrong. They paid for that mistake with their empire. Let this be a lesson to anyone else who thinks humanity will accept injustice quietly. But we do not seek domination. We do not want to rule others. We want only what we have always wanted, to live in peace, to explore, to build, to be left alone. We will defend ourselves. We will protect our people. But we will not become conquerors. Choi Min looked directly at Kalvor. This council has shown itself to be corrupt and easily manipulated. Earth demands reforms. Equal representation for all species, regardless of size or age, transparent voting, strict rules against conflicts of interest. If this council cannot reform, then it serves no purpose. And if we refuse? Kalvor asked, his voice barely audible. Then Earth will create our own alliance. We will invite every species that has been oppressed, every young civilization that has been ignored, every world that seeks true justice. You will face competition. Choose wisely. The threat was clear. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do in war. No one wanted to see what they could do in creating a rival power structure. The Council will take your proposals under advisement, Kalvor said weakly. Do more than that, Choi Min replied. Vote on them. Today, the galaxy is watching. The vote took 4 hours. In the end, every reform passed. The council structure was overhauled. Earth was offered a permanent seat with veto power. The term Deathworlder was formally recognized as a protected category, with laws preventing discrimination. It was a complete reversal from 90 days ago. Back at Vrela Prime, Overlord Thexus sent his answer before the deadline. The Vrelian Empire accepted all terms. The war was over. Fleet Admiral Li Day remained in orbit for 6 months, overseeing the dismantling of the Vrelian war machine. He watched as massive battleships were torn apart, their weapons stripped, their hulls converted to civilian use. He watched as Vrelian officers were tried for their crimes. He watched as reparation payments began flowing to human families. It gave him no joy. The dead were still dead, the families still broken. Victory did not erase loss. Captain Kim Hyun found him in his ready room one evening, staring at a list of names. Every human who had died in the war. There were thousands. "We're ready to return to Earth, sir," she said gently. "I keep thinking about Admiral Sung-woo," Li Day replied. "He held the line with 12 ships against 200. He bought us time to respond. All those people we saved because he refused to run." "He would be proud of what we accomplished," Kim Hyun offered. "Would he? We became everything we said we didn't want to be. We became conquerors, killers, destroyers of worlds." "No, sir," Kim Hyun said firmly. "We became defenders. We became survivors. We became exactly what Earth made us, a species that will not break, will not surrender, will not accept injustice. Sung-woo knew that. That's why he fought. That's why we all fought." Li Day looked at her and nodded slowly. "Let's go home." The Earth fleet departed Vrela Prime, leaving behind a monitoring station and a small garrison. As they passed through the system, every Vrelian ship they encountered moved aside, giving them clear passage. The hunters had become the hunted. The mighty had fallen. 3 months later, a new alien species sent their first diplomatic mission to Earth. The Kelmen were a young civilization, barely 50 years in space. Their diplomat arrived at Earth orbit with his ship powered down, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. When he met with Earth's diplomatic corps, he was nervous. Ambassador Yoon-ji, now promoted to Secretary of Interstellar Relations, greeted him personally. "Welcome to Earth," she said warmly. "We're pleased to meet you." The Kelman diplomat, whose name was Pella, relaxed slightly. "I confess, I was worried about this meeting. The stories we have heard about humans are probably exaggerated." Yoon-ji finished with a smile. "We are not monsters. We are just people who will defend ourselves when necessary." Pella nodded, then pulled out a data pad. He had been briefed extensively before this mission. The brief was simple but clear. Species, human. Classification, Deathworlder. Approach with caution. They have proven themselves formidable in combat, but they prefer peaceful relations. Recommendation, honesty, and respect. They remember those who treat them fairly. They also remember those who do not. The brief ended with a simple sentence that would appear in every alien diplomatic briefing for the next 1,000 years. They warned the Vrelians. The Vrelians did not listen. Learn from their mistake. Yoon-ji saw Pella reading something and smiled. "Good advice?" "The best," Pella replied. "We come seeking trade and friendship, nothing more." "Then you'll find Earth a good friend," Yoon-ji assured him. "We remember who stands with us. Come, let me show you our world. Not the warships or the weapons, the real Earth, the farms and cities, the art and music, the people who just want to live in peace." As they walked through the diplomatic center, Pella looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the great fleet rested, ready to defend humanity if needed. But they hoped it would never be needed again. Peace had been won, justice had been served, and the galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. Never ignore the warnings of a Deathworlder.